Trump crash. Hello everybody, David Shuster here. If you have money in the U.S. stock market or cannot handle financial instability, turn off this video now. You've been warned. Here's the news.
Tonight, the biggest single-day loss for a stock ever. Shares of NVIDIA, which makes the chips used to power artificial intelligence, plunging nearly $600 billion.
As the effing news put it, so now Donald Trump has already overseen the largest market value drop in the history of the U.S. stock market. NVIDIA's sell-off was triggered by a powerful and more efficient Chinese artificial intelligence chatbot called DeepSeek.
DeepSeek, the app, tonight #1 in both Apple and Google's app stores. Built in China, allegedly at a fraction of the cost, using far less energy than Western competitors like OpenAI, Google, and Anthropic.
Some of the CEOs of those U.S. tech companies received a front-row seat at Donald Trump's inauguration. Trump named OpenAI's Sam Altman to the new Trump AI initiative called Stargate. The Trump tech bros, as Republicans have called them, were supposed to lead the United States under Donald Trump to unprecedented financial success and prosperity. During his last administration in 2019, Donald Trump even issued this executive order titled Maintaining American Leadership in Artificial Intelligence. The Trump team said its efforts and the heavy investment in U.S. tech companies by Trump supporters on Wall Street would secure U.S. dominance on AI technology. Until this week, U.S. tech stocks were soaring, but it apparently didn't occur to the Trump bros at the White House, on Wall Street, and in Silicon Valley that people outside of the United States can make AI stuff as well. And when China's DeepSeek entered the AI market recently, U.S. tech companies and their investors seemed shocked. Never mind, of course, that DeepSeek announced 2 months ago that it had made the app for $6 million instead of the billions U.S. companies have spent. Oh, and U.S. financial journalists say the Chinese app is better.
I mean, I don't know if you, did you get to play? It is mind-blowing.
It looks really great. I mean, it feels like it's open source, so people can test this out themselves.
When you mark your sort of AI history timeline in life, I think this past week, today, and everything else will be on it.
I think Mark Andreessen put it really succinctly and really smartly when he said that this feels like the Sputnik moment for the AI race, where China is really stepping in. So not just what it can do, but what it means for American dominance in AI.
Despite what it means that the United States is not dominant and perhaps even not competitive with Chinese AI,
U.S. company NVIDIA suffering the largest single-day drop ever.
President Trump tried to spin it all as good news.
Today and over the last couple of days, I've been reading about China and some of the companies in China, one in particular, coming up with a faster method of AI and much less expensive method. And that's good because you don't have to spend as much money. I view that as a positive, as an asset. So I really think if it's fact and if it's true, and nobody really knows if it is, but I view that as a positive because you'll be doing that too. So you won't be spending as much and you'll get the same result, hopefully.
The problem with Trump's rosy forecast is the linear nature of time. You see, Microsoft, OpenAI, and other Silicon Valley companies have already spent hundreds of billions of dollars developing their AI. Oops. And all of this comes less than a week after Donald Trump trumpeted an alleged $500 billion investment by OpenAI and others into a new U.S.-based AI project. The dramatic crash of U.S. tech stocks is not only dragging down the value of U.S. tech companies by hundreds of billions of dollars, the crash is also costing American investors. Half of all Americans have money in the U.S. stock market, and most American investors have a portfolio or fund that includes U.S. tech stocks. Ouch. Now, while it's true that the stock market is driven by much more than high-tech companies, a lot of other U.S. companies are also showing signs of trouble. Headline: GM stock falls even as company beats analyst expectations on earnings. According to analysts, GM and other companies are hurting because of the uncertainties and risks created by Donald Trump's policies, including tariffs. We will get to that in a moment. The most recent Trump governance news was this.
The Trump administration announced a sweeping freeze on all federal grants, funds already approved by Congress.
The White House Budget Office has ordered all federal agencies to cease any financial assistance if they believe the program might conflict with President Trump's executive orders. The directive is not specific about which programs would have to be suspended, but it's clearly far-reaching. It says, quote, "This memorandum requires federal agencies to identify and review all federal financial assistance programs and supporting activities consistent with the president's policies and requirements."
Analysts say the Trump freeze could halt hundreds of billions of dollars in federal spending on everything from farm assistance to Head Start programs to disaster relief and public transportation. Last year, U.S. government spending accounted for about a third of the nation's entire gross domestic product, or GDP. And the latest Trump news and confusion jolted markets down again.
President Trump plunged the country into chaos without a shred of warning. The Trump administration announced a halt to virtually all federal funds across the country. In an instant, Donald Trump has shut off billions, perhaps trillions of dollars that directly support states, cities, towns, schools, hospitals, small businesses, and most of all, American families.
Even before this week, stock market investors and analysts were anxious about the Trump tariffs set to start on February 1st, targeting China, Mexico, and Canada. Economists say the tariffs, if Trump follows through, will raise prices on American consumers, cutting back on their buying power and further hurting the U.S. economy. And with anxieties already sky high on Wall Street about a U.S. economic crash, the war of words between Donald Trump and Canadian leaders is getting worse.
We have a tremendous deficit with Canada. We're not going to have that anymore. We can't do it. I don't know if it's good for them. As you probably know, I say you can always become a state. And if you're a state, we won't have a deficit. We won't have to tariff you, et cetera, et cetera. But Canada has been very tough to deal with over the years.
Here is the premier of Canada's British Columbia province.
I don't understand why the president is doing this. I think it's bizarre. It's not a fight we wanted. It's not a fight we signed up for. But I assure every American, and certainly and especially the president, that Canadians will fight. We will stand up and fight. And that includes making decisions about how we spend our money. And we will not spend money in a country that wants to do economic harm to Canadians.
Well, if it makes you feel any better, Canadians, America is already doing economic harm to Americans thanks to Donald Trump. The U.S. markets despise even the prospect of tariffs. Trump governing chaos and grant freezes have spooked investors. Food prices already going up as migrant worker deportations cause labor disruptions. And the American supremacy on artificial intelligence has disappeared thanks to failures of Donald Trump's tech bros. And that's just the economic rundown. In terms of U.S. health and safety, Trump has raised prices on prescriptions, stopped medical research and collaboration, halted public warnings from the Centers for Disease Control and Food and Drug Administration, eliminated the Office of Gun Violence Prevention, and pardoned more than 500 felons who were convicted of violence and assaulting police on January the 6th. Now, it's possible that some of those January 6 ex-cons will become productive members of American society and contribute to our nation's growth. Unfortunately, none of those MAGA J6ers seem to know much about artificial intelligence and high-tech chip making. And even if they did and had the insights of America's most successful engineers at Google and OpenAI, China would still be eating Silicon Valley's lunch and causing U.S. tech stocks to crash. Make America great again, eh? Well, less than 2 weeks into office, President Donald Trump is already sparking a string of calamities and presiding over record Wall Street drops. Congratulations, Trump voters. This is on you. By the way, Donald Trump's efforts to acquire Greenland have led to expletives from members of Denmark's parliament.
Dear President Trump, listen very carefully. Greenland has been part of the Danish kingdom for 800 years. It's an integrated part of our country. It is not for sale. Let me put it in words you might understand. Mr. Trump, f*** off.
A leader of the European Union meeting then warned members not to use such language regardless of their views of Donald Trump. So a member of the Spanish parliament then stood up in the EU and, without using any profanity, still told Trump and his oligarch friends, including ex-owner Elon Musk and Facebook owner Mark Zuckerberg, to get lost.
And to Musk, Zuckerberg and company. In Europe, we have a market of millions of users that provide money to your companies. Yes, but we also love protecting our citizens and democracies by making laws. If you don't like it, you can always leave and take it or leave it. You can always take your Nazi salutes and your masculine energy and go back home. Viva Europa, hoy más que nunca.
Check out that video at the link below. It generated a lot of comments on YouTube. One of the most popular is from One Planet, who wrote of Trumpism, "This is a stain on America. I am embarrassed for our nation." Indeed, and it's arguably going to get worse. I look forward to reading your comments about tech stocks crashing under Trump as his failures pile up. I'm David Shuster. Thanks for joining us.